What is up, guys? In this episode of Gym Takeover, I will be stepping up to the plate to challenge a 10th planet black belt. I'm sure that everything will go just fine. I will also be taking on a 250-pound blue belt and one wrestling boy. All that and more coming up in this episode of Gym Takeover Phoenix. Alright guys, we are all packed and ready to go, so let's get in this car and hit the road. Alright guys, apparently a must when you're taking these long road trips is to stop around, stretch your legs, and do a little exercising. So I'm about to hit a little bit of that, get the blood flowing. Let's check it out. Alright guys, just pulled up at 10th Planet Scottsdale, right there. Gonna check it out, see what's up. I'll cut right to the voiceover because I know that's what you guys are here for, so enjoy. What is up, class? Welcome to round number 1. Here I will be taking on Mr. Jake from State Farm. Now, Mr. Jake is a white belt, but do not sleep on him because he is also a wrestler, and as we will find out, he has some sick scrambles. What I will be trying to do is get on top of him, control his hips, and go for the finish. Let's see how that works out. And right here we tie up and start looking to win the grip fighting to set up our attacks. You guys know I'm kind of a slow starter and like to gauge my opponent before I commit to anything. Here I lock up a tight collar tie and step in looking to pull single leg X. He counters by looking to knee cut pass, so I counter his counter by arm dragging to an ankle pick with my leg. But as I come up to stabilize the top position, he's able to pull off some wrestling pizzazz and get his hips underneath him and get back up to his feet. But if at first you fail, try again. So here I grab his elbow, sit in between his legs, and kick up, elevating his hips. He brings his right leg across my body, but this allows me to lock up the honey hole and drop him off to the side. As I think about going for a leg lock, he tries to pull his hips out, so instead of doing that, I just let go of the honey hole and come up for the sweep. But he's nothing if not a good wrestler, so as I circle to north-south, he's able to pummel an underhook, grab a single leg. As I try to sprawl out on it, he uses the space to get back up to his feet. This right here is why having a decent amount of wrestling can come in so clutch in tough spots. Here I shoot an underhook and look for a front headlock, but he's like, nope. So I lower my levels and use my underhook to create a lane to pull half guard. He immediately counters with an arm and guillotine attempt, so I grab both his legs and pop up like I'm finishing a double leg attack. I then hop over his guard and drive my shoulder across his neck. This forces him to let go of the guillotine or risk the Von Flue counter. As I look to step over into full mount, he locks up my leg in half guard, so I pull my knee out and drive it to the floor looking to solidify mount. As I switch my hips to the side to try to finish the arm Illuminati choke, he tries to frame on my hip to create space, so I use my instep to block him from wrapping up my leg in half guard. I'm then able to lower my hips and stabilize a really solid mount. After a little bit of fighting for the arm triangle choke, I decide to bail on it and drive my right knee over his arm looking for a mounted triangle, but as I look to triangle my legs, he turns hard into me, forcing me to bail on the position, so I slide out, shove my right arm underneath his armpit, and lock up a Darce choke. With a tight grip on the Darce, I look to chase his hips down to keep him from moving away and getting out of the choke. After a little bit of this, I step over into full mount, which is a super tight way to finish the Darce, but he decides to activate thin ass neck mode, giving him a little pocket of air so he doesn't have to tap. So I decide to bail on the choke since he has a high underhook. I grab his arm and step up high, keeping him from pulling it out. I then trap his right wrist, grab his head, and throw my left leg over his neck, looking to lock up the mounted triangle. I then lean forward, making space for my ankles so I can figure four my legs. To finish, I posture up and pull his arm for the armbar.
Round 2, fight!
Here we have some more jockeying for dominant grips, pretty standard fare for a no-gi round. Here I shoot an underhook, step behind his foot, and grab a single leg looking to finish. He counters by wizarding me looking to Uchimata, so I use my right foot to block his far leg, keeping him from getting his hips close enough to finish. He then decides to sequence into the craziest Uno reverse wrestling move I've seen in a minute, but I'm able to sprawl out and create a slight angle on him. I can see that the round is almost over, so I throw my right leg over his head looking for the Peruvian necktie right as the timer goes off. Welcome back, class. Here we're about to dive into round number 2. On the docket, we have Mr. Mig. Now, he is a blue belt. He has a decent open guard and some decent takedown defense. What I will be trying to do is get on top of him and stay as heavy and as patient as possible because he is one big boy. Let's see what happens. Here I'm starting on my back in the passive guard position because honestly I really don't want to wrestle this guy. Especially when your opponent is this much bigger than you, it's important to keep barriers between yourself and them. Right now I'm using my legs and knees to keep some distance between the two of us. With a collar tie, I grab his elbow and step on his knee looking to chop out his base and get the sweep. Nope. He shuts that down real quick but gives me the arm drag which I use to cut the angle to his back. He then rolls forward to prevent me from taking his back, giving me side control, but then bench presses me off of him and retains guard. Here I pummel my left foot in behind his knee, trying to shut down any leg lock attempts. He counters by grabbing my ankle and elevating my hips over his head, making me roll and getting the sweep. As he looks to go straight into a smash pass, I frame with my knee and hand and get back up to my feet. I then step into his half guard looking to put some weight on him and initiate a pass. Here I grab his bottom wrist to keep him from turning into me that hard. He tries to anyways but can't get enough leverage to do so since I'm grabbing his wrist. As I look to smash his hips again, he points his knee up, putting me in his half butterfly guard. As he grabs my wrist and looks to sweep me, I kick my hips back, grab both his legs and drive into him, getting up on my toes to put more pressure on him, passing into side control. Here he brings his frames up and tries to get me off of him, so I redirect his top frame and try to walk my hips around to north-south to shut down his bottom frame. However, size does make a difference and he's able to retain guard momentarily before I pass by and this time step over into full mount to shut down any escapes. With an underhook, I step off. As I do, he turns into me hard. Since I have an underhook, I step around, throw my leg over his body, and squeeze my knees together for an armbar attack. Here I start on my butt again, and again he looks to put immediate pressure on me. I understand, it's exactly what I do. I snap his head down and get up to my feet, so he decides to play guard himself. As I step in between his legs again looking for a pass, he's able to create a slight angle and pop up on a nice single leg attack. I counter by pushing on his head and driving my hips into his shoulder. As he looks to redirect me, I use the space to stuff him and get out of there. Right here I sidestep his guard looking for a quick guard pass. As he looks to retain guard, I use my left hand to block his bottom hip to keep him from coming back into me all the way. He's trying to turn into me hard and then decides to go into turtle to try to get his base back. I use the opening to put my left hook in and then feed my instep underneath his bottom ankle and use that to chop out his base, yanking him down to his side. As he goes back into turtle, that gives me the space to throw my second hook in for full back mount. As I wrench my arms for a power half looking to chop out his base, he rolls forward, bucking me off, forcing me to bail on back control and take side control. From here, I hook his hips and circle to north-south, driving my hips low to shut down further framing attacks. After a little bit of running around, I grab his left arm and look to throw my leg over for the scorpion lock, but as this is kind of a high-risk submission, I don't get it this time and instead have to sprawl out to keep him from taking me down. I know the timer's about over, so I run to his back and throw my hooks in right as the timer goes off. Alright, welcome back, and this is the moment you have all been waiting for. I will be taking on our black belt, Mr. Still. He is definitely a solid black belt. He has a very well-rounded game, and on top of that, he's got this insane Technicolor rash guard, which you know automatically increases your jiu-jitsu skill by 10%. Let's see how successful I am. As soon as we start, he scoots in and I pummel my leg in between his, but he immediately re-pummels his leg, forcing me to get out of there to avoid any leg lock attacks. Here I drop to my knees, looking to prevent him from elevating my hips again to shut down any of his future leg lock attempts. He replies with double underhooks, clamping his hands together high right behind my shoulder blades. As I try to pull out, he looks to sweep me to my right. I fight this by bringing my knee behind his hip and pushing off on his neck. Here I dive for a rolling Kimura attack. He counters by threading my leg with his, rolling forward and grabbing my hip, trying to pull me into the pocket and take my back. I counter his counter by flattening my shoulders on the mat and grabbing his ankles, preventing him from throwing his hooks in. I then thread my legs in between his to break his grip, and once he gives me that space, I pull my hips out and get back up to my feet. Here I grab his hip and knee, walk his hips off to the side, and drive my knee through for the leg drag. I then throw my top leg over looking for the honey hole, but he defends by grabbing my ankle and shoving it away. Here I double down on the attack by looking for a heel hook, but after he hips out and adjusts, I decide to bail and get back up to my feet. Here I go for another rolling Kimura, but this time he turns his arm, straightening it and pulling it out. I then hook his top leg, looking to stack him and get a guard pass. As I walk into him, he's able to walk his shoulders back, taking away my leverage and forcing me to bail. So I step in between his legs and look for a stack pass to the other side this time. Why wouldn't that work, right? He replies by looking to invert over his shoulders and elevate my hips for an attack, so I reply by sprawling out extremely hard and making my hips really heavy. Here I drive my left leg behind his hip, looking for the dope mount again, but he has his knee pointed up, preventing me from getting a full smash and passing. After a little bit of nothingness, he looks to elevate me and look for the honey hole, so I decide to step out and get the hell out of there. As he looks for reverse De La Riva guard, I lower my levels and drive myself into half guard, looking to baby step my way into side control. Unfortunately though, he has an underhook and immediately transitions into a nasty lockdown. As I look to pull my knee out of the lockdown, he underhooks my left leg and rolls to his side looking for the electric chair, so I have to give him the sweep so as not to be submitted. He then lets go of the lockdown, passing into side control. I hook his arm and try to roll him over me and escape, but he times my movement and feeds his hand through, looking to lock up a Darce choke. I fight off the Darce, so he switches to a Gable grip, and right here, for some reason, my nose just starts bleeding, so I pretty much just stop moving. He then sits and uses his knee as a wedge to block my neck and throws his top leg over, getting the Japanese necktie, forcing me to tap. Hi, bro. Thanks for kicking my ass.
Absolutely.
You got a page you want to shout out?
My page at Steel, our school page at 10th Planet Scottsdale. Hit up the website, 10thplanetscottsdale.com. First class is free. Super happy to have folks come in and do whatever all the time, you know. Come on in anytime, guys.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
What you get in there, bud?
Kind of want the chicken and pancakes.
How many should I put in? Maybe 3? 4? Let me know. You know I'm all about that fix whenever I have to be vlogging. It was either this or crack. Oh, that's okay. Alright guys, so while we're waiting for our breakfast here at IHOP, I'm gonna answer some of your questions. So if you have a question that you want to ask and it's an interesting question, DM it to me on Instagram at Jedi_himself. And who knows, maybe I'll answer it in the next video. Jose Tomas says, sup dude, just saw a couple of your YouTube videos. I start BJJ tomorrow as a white belt. I was wondering, how long did it take you to reach your blue belt? And how long did it take you to reach your purple belt when you were already a blue? Good question, Jose. Now the answer is 2 years, and that's the answer for both white belt to blue belt and blue belt to purple belt. 2 years actually to the month. So I started in October 2013. 2 years later, I got my blue belt. And then 2 years after that, I got my purple belt. Go ahead. Yeah, so a lot of people do get their blue belts a little quicker than 2 years. In the grand scheme of things, if you're training for a lifetime, what difference does a couple months make? And yeah, the average time to get your purple belt is about 5 years, but I know people that have gotten their purple belt in 3 years. It doesn't really matter. Just as long as you're in jiu-jitsu for the right reason, you will promote as long as you're getting better, you're showing up, and you're putting in the work.
What's up guys? Welcome to Food Reviews with Dan Man. Let's check this chicken out with some ranch. See what it tastes like. It's pretty lit, boys.
Round 1, fight. Round 2, fight. Final round, fight.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shitty, my bros raw.
Alright guys, that's all for the video. Smash like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. I post a video every Friday. Be sure to tune in for more. If you have a gym you want me to check out, let me know what it is down below. Remember guys, stay consistent, and you can do whatever you want to do. Talk to you guys in the next video. I'm out of here.